Guys, wouldn't your wife or girlfriend love it if you treated her to the very best this Christmas? Now you can, with the world's softest pajamas by Pajamagram. Created by a team of pajama experts, the world's softest PJs are lighter than a cloud, softer than a bunny, like cashmere, only better. She'll love how heavenly they feel. Includes free gift packaging and Christmas delivery is guaranteed. So visit pajamagram.com or call 1-800-GIVE-PJs.
Welcome to the Right Time Podcast. The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
We got a big week of NFL action coming up this weekend. I feel like the NFL is really just playing that game that the NBA plays, where they backload the whole schedule until they got the whole, calendar to themselves, except for the fact the NFL always has a calendar to themselves. In effect, I don't know if they was backloading stuff as much as they didn't have nothing good to give us. Anyway, we got Steelers Patriots this weekend. As we described this a little earlier this week, I think Shannon described it best, where he said this is the game that should be a rivalry, but really isn't a rivalry because one team wins all the time. So I guess that means it's like Michigan, Ohio State, except with all the history. If that makes any sense to you. Like, yeah, it's a rivalry. We all into it, but it feels like all these times you know who is ultimately going to win. But the Patriots are coming off that loss to the Dolphins. We had Aaron Shots of Football Outsiders on earlier this week. He referred to this as like the annual game that the Patriots put in that isn't so good. Shannon, I did have somebody say, though, that they noticed the big problem is Tom Brady always has his worst game of the year during the fantasy playoffs, which I would take as a personal betrayal if I were them.
And you mean to tell me that you don't think Tom Brady knows that? I'm sure Tom Brady is well aware that he has his struggles during the fantasy playoffs.
All I'm saying is this. We could talk about Tom Brady being the greatest of all time, but if he can't come through in the playoffs when it counts, baby, then what are we doing? Right? If he doesn't have it in crunch time, then is he really as good as y'all say?
Oh, you're talking about those Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, the fantasy playoffs, the ones that count. That's what I mean. If he can't get it done in the playoffs, I don't see how you can say that the man is truly the man. But anyway, here is Tom Brady. He's talking about how he and his team are preparing for the Steelers defense.
I think at this point in the year, it's not like you're going to go reinvent your whole defense, in week 15. I mean, they're ranked pretty high. They do a lot of things well. I'm sure they're going to want to continue to do those things well. They rush good. They're tight in coverage. They mix their schemes in zone and man and blitzes, and they do it on all three downs, and they don't make it easy on you. So now for us, it's just being on alert, and we're going to try to go out and play the way we play too, and that's what makes for a good game. They've had a lot of good teams over the years. These are always pretty big matchups, and this is a big one for both of us.
Gotta say, I'm not sure anyone has ever made saying nothing sound like something quite in that way. I thought we might get some level of insight about this. He was like, nah, baby, they got a football team. We got a football team. We going to play a football game.
It was very Belichickian.
Yeah, except, see, the thing is, the difference between Brady and Belichick on that stuff is Belichick has no concern with being charming. Tom Brady got books and supplements of sweat water to sell us. Does he sell the sweat water, or does he just keep the sweat water for himself? I guess I need to look that up in the story. No. I remember that story with Tom Brady talking about he wakes up and he drinks some salty water that replaces all the nutrients that he had lost when he was asleep. And I couldn't tell whether he buys the sweat water or he just or he can buy the sweat water from him. Also, is there any possibility that he's found a way to take his own actual sweat and then have that made into the sweat water? Because I feel like you can't drink sweat water based on somebody else's sweat. You might mess around and drink too much sweat if the wrong person, that sweaty person in your life, right? Like, I feel like that person need a different formula of sweat water than somebody that's a little bit less sweaty.
As Travis said here in the control room, essentially it's Michael's secret stuff from Space Jam.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Now it's got me sitting here thinking about who the sweatiest person is that I know, right? Because the thing about the sweaty person that you know is that person doesn't necessarily smell bad. He just smells like sweat. And actually, I do know who the sweatiest person is that I know. Go ahead and say it.
Is it Dan Le Batard?
It is Dan Le Batard. Yeah, you are right. Like, I really was actually throwing it out there and trying to figure out who the person was. No, I don't think I've ever seen anybody sweat as much as when me and Dan were interviewing Katarina Witt on Highly Questionable, and she started, like, for real flirting with him right there, and all of a sudden it was like a waterfall. And I'm just over there like, oh boy. And she kind of did the same thing to me, and I was like, straight face. They ain't gonna do me like you did, Dan. Dan ain't know what to do. Anyway, this here football game. Rob Gronkowski comes back. Shannon, you see Rob Gronkowski walked out the press conference because people kept asking him about his suspension?
What did he think people were going to ask him about? Dude, you got suspended for a game. It's your first game back. People are going to ask you about the suspension.
Yeah, he got some audacity, I would think, to feel like he doesn't have to answer those questions about that suspension. Nah, bro, you kind of have to do that. I mean, you actually got off kind of easy. You need to be glad anybody's inviting you to come talk to people in the first place. Like, that's the way that I see it. But yeah, either way, we got Patriots, we got Steelers. This is the NFL needs us to be on board with that one. But the thing with the league, I think something weird happens when the teams on the West Coast actually turn out to be good. Shannon, this game is against, what is it, the Rams and the Seahawks are playing? They're playing at the same time? Thanks to the damn Giants and Jets, I very rarely ever get a nice national broadcast game where I'm like, I'm just going to turn on a regular channel and watch the game that I want to see. It doesn't work out that way. Now I got to worry about these two games that are actually good going on at the same time. And as I've told you guys before, there's this real thing about New York. They don't tell you this when you move here, but it's really a problem. It's really a holdup, which is they put the Giants and the Jets on TV every weekend. Did y'all know that? Every weekend, they put them on TV. Yeah. I know, right? I feel like that's ridiculous. That is preposterous. Shannon, your Giants are playing again. Oh, they're playing the Eagles. It's a rivalry game. Are you actually going to watch them, or have you given up that narcotic like I would recommend that you do?
I'd imagine with the whole Nick Foles starting thing that it's a lot of interest in this game and whether or not certain defensive players for the New York Giants are going to be playing.
Who's not going to be playing?
I don't know. Eli Apple. Let's see if he plays this week.
Oh, that's right.
Or he could be out there tweeting or playing. One of the two.
No, you're a little salty about this.
Just saying. Things happen.
You seem a little salty about Eli.
Just stating facts.
That you were okay with him. Anybody suspended this week?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, so everybody seems to be invested. Eli going to be the quarterback?
It's his team. It's his team. He's back. He was named the starter for some reason or another. So Eli's the guy.
Shannon, you can get off the narcotic. It's okay. It's okay. You don't even be watching them no more. Like, we try to talk to you about the game while the game is going on. You don't even want to talk to us about them.
You keep calling me, man. I try. They just keep calling me.
No, but we try to holler at you about the games. You don't really want to participate. I feel like you have already quit on the Giants. In fact, let's put that up on the poll right now. Should Shannon quit the Giants? Yes, no, or he already did. Let's find out which one it is. Like, I don't even hear the pain in your voice anymore. I'll never hear pain in your voice like that time Michael Vick and Deshaun Jackson put that comeback on y'all boys. It's like I feel like the energy and the passion ain't there for you no more. You remember that?
Just I keep bringing up old stuff, bro.
Just making sure.
Why I gotta keep bringing up old stuff?
Just making sure. Every day
we were past that.
I would tell you where I got the voice from where I do that. Well, one time, one of my homeboys had been hanging out with my ex-girlfriend who I didn't really feel like talking about or anything at that time. And I go to the house and I see some picture that's on the table with a bunch of people and she's in the picture. And so I act like I don't see it. And then my boy's like, hey, you see that right there? There go your ex. You remember her? I'm like, bruh, she dumped me like 2 weeks ago. I remember her very well. Remember that? Why would you ask me that? Like, why would that be? Why would that be? So yeah, that's how I am with you about that time that Deshaun Jackson walked across the end zone when the punt didn't go out of bounds.
Tom Coughlin told him to kick it out of bounds. He told Matt Dodge to kick it out of bounds. He went on the field, told Matt Dodge to kick it out of bounds, and he still kicked it to Deshaun Jackson.
He sure did, and Deshaun Jackson walked across the goal line slow too. Slow. Hey, by the way, here's one for you. Have you heard this, Shannon? People talk about Ben Roethlisberger is perhaps the MVP.
That does actually bring up an interesting question in regards to the MVP race, because prior to Carson Wentz's injury, there was talk about Wentz. Some have talked about Brady. I've started to hear a little bit about Roethlisberger, and another Pittsburgh Steeler. Antonio Brown is starting to garner some talks here.
Dude, did you realize there have only been 3 wide receivers ever to get a vote for MVP? Like, just to get a vote for MVP. Randy Moss, Sterling Sharp, and Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice had a season where he scored 22 touchdowns in 12 games and did not win the MVP. So we talking about if Antonio Brown going to get the MVP with 2,000 yards. No, sir. It's going to take more than that.
All right, I don't know if this is a chicken or an egg question, but how can a wide receiver realistically win an MVP without it going to the quarterback?
Playing free safety also, like on passing downs. Going out there and playing deep middle and getting some interceptions. The same way it took for a quarter to win the Heisman. You're going to need to play a little bit of wide receiver too. and come back out here. Like, that's the only explanation I got for what it is. Because Roethlisberger, from the games that I've watched the Steelers play, has Roethlisberger actually played well? Like, I don't think I would make the argument that he has played poorly, but I certainly would not say that he has played consistently well. Like, no. I feel like Ben Roethlisberger right now is at best the third best player on that offense. If you want to talk about offensive lineman, that dude DeCastro, it is entirely possible that Roethlisberger is fourth. He's still good enough for you to win with him, but I ain't seen anything to indicate an MVP. No, not going that far.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
All guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, just like our next guest. Check him out at theundefeated.com. Also here at ESPN Radio. His name is Dominique Foxworth. Dominique, did you see Brock Osweiler last night looking like an NFL quarterback?
I did. I was quite proud, actually, because I've been ridiculed because Brock is one of the guys that I think is better than people say he is, and he's been making me look bad for a while.
Wait, you're the one guy still on the Brock Osweiler train?
I'm not on the Brock Osweiler train. I'm not sure that he needs to be a starting quarterback, but I just remember watching when he was in Houston, and they weren't setting him up for success. And he, I guess, similar to a lot of quarterbacks, he shows glimpses. Because I don't know if you watched how much of the game you watched last night, but a couple of the throws that he made last night are, like, incredible. Not everyone can do that, and that's enough to get you excited. And I feel like when you have a body of talent that is above average, which I think Brock is capable of in some instances, then it's incumbent on the coach to maximize that. And I don't think that Bill O'Brien was doing that last year, so I just didn't like how everybody was getting on him. And I was happy to see him be able to show out last night on a nationally televised game.
Now, I'm curious, when you played for the Broncos, did you ever get to meet John Elway? Because we were just talking last segment about how we could imagine John Elway saying all those same things to himself and tricking himself into bringing Brock Osweiler back.
Yeah, I'm sure I met him a couple times. We didn't spend much time around. He wasn't like a friend of the program at that time. I think he had some beef with some people in the organization back then, but he was always around. And he was at that point he was caking up selling cars in Denver, so he wasn't that much into football.
I'm just telling you, let him hear that you said that right there. He might make you the new assistant general manager. We are talking to Dominique Foxworth of The Undefeated here on The Right Time. We got Patriots and Steelers. The Steelers never win this game, or it feels like they never win this game against the Patriots. What do you think that's come down to?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I think the Patriots, one of the things I've been talking about a lot lately is how do you kind of explain the Patriots' sustained success? Because there aren't very many people that have been there that long, with the exception of Brady and Belichick. They cycle out coordinators and bring them back sometimes, and they certainly aren't super talented because the players that they bring in are not that great on other teams and then leave and aren't that great elsewhere. So I think it comes down to their flexibility. They change in the course of, they change from season to season and from game to game, and they even change from play to play based on what they're seeing better than anybody else in the league. And I think that's the difference. And I think that's why the Steelers, and not just the Steelers, why everyone, frankly, over the last, what's it been, since 2007 was their first Super Bowl. That's why everyone has had trouble with the Patriots, because no one else adapts as quickly and effectively as they do.
Well, one thing that's interesting is everybody wants to figure out how you can be more like Bill Belichick, but it seems like it's a league full of coaches who are wedded to doing it one way, where his thing is, I got all the ways.
That's exactly right. And I think that everyone, one of the things that people focus on, thinking that they can that their general manager might be able to get more talent than somebody else. You can't, because of the salary cap. Like, the talent's going to be pretty much even across, or they think that they'll be able to be more precise and more effective at running their plays better than some other team. You're not going to. Like, they all have limited practice time. Where you can find some advantage, and I think the Patriots have done this time and time again, is that they can be more adaptable than anyone else. And when they have something that's not working from in the first quarter, they don't do it again. They do something else. And that's, sadly, there are plenty of coaches who have stuff that doesn't work for a complete season and then come back to next season and say, well, this is my philosophy, I'm going to stick with it all the way to unemployment line.
We are talking to Dominique Foxworth of The Undefeated here on The Right Time. Now, if you were scheming up against the Steelers, who would you be more concerned with stopping, Le'Veon Bell or Antonio Brown?
Yeah, it's always Le'Veon Bell for me. I think the conversation about Antonio Brown for MVP discussions is fair. He's having a tremendous season, and it doesn't seem like he can be stopped no matter what you want to do, because the Ravens were doubling him for a lot of the game, and he went for 211. when he was being doubled and when he wasn't, he was making plays. So, having said that, I think what is important about stopping Le'Veon Bell is Le'Veon Bell sets up everything, and Le'Veon Bell, when they run the ball, he makes their O-line. Not that their O-line is bad, because they have one of the best ones in the league, but he makes them better than they are by the way that he runs. And Le'Veon Bell opens up the down the field passes by catching 3-yard checkdowns and turn them into 8-yard plays. And the linebackers start to hug up, and that opens them up over the middle for deeper plays. And they have to put more people in the box to stop Le'Veon Bell from running, which ends up singling up Antonio Brown on the edge. So I can go on and on for the attributes that Le'Veon Bell has, but I think if you could choose one player to not play in the game, that's the one that you would choose, not Antonio.
Now, I could think of a guy that's a stronger rushing and receiving threat as Le'Veon Bell is, because Marshall Faulk was that guy. But I can't name anybody who gets the ball and just stands there still, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, now the play starts. Do you have anybody as a basic comparison for his style of running?
I don't. I think the odd thing is the only parallel that I've seen is that's kind of how quarterbacks run when they have designed QB runs, because they're not necessarily interested in getting hit. It's like I've seen Cam Newton used to do that a bunch in college and still does it in the league. But I don't see anybody else who has that type of patience running the ball as a running back, because you're always taught hit the hole fast or it's going to close up. But Le'Veon will show outside, which causes all the defenders to kind of move in that direction, and then opens up a lane from the inside. And it's like nonverbal communication, but the offensive line seems to know that, where they don't necessarily pick a side when they're blocking. They just stay in front of their defenders until Le'Veon moves the defenders to one side, and then they say, oh, okay, that's where you want to be, and then they seal them off. Le'Veon cuts up and makes a play.
All right, last question, Dominique Foxworth of The Undefeated here on The Right Time. Now, you've been critical of the concussion protocol in the NFL. What do you think the biggest flaw with it is?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of impossible to understand what's going on in somebody's brain, and the best way we have to do it is kind of a series of questions. So before the season starts, we do a baseline test. All the players do a baseline kind of cognitive test, which is essentially they ask you a bunch of questions, or they ask you to remember certain things, and you have to recite them backwards, and these sort of things that are meant to test your cognitive ability. And they set a baseline score for that, and then part of the concussion protocol is then to see how well you reach that baseline again after you've been hit. And it's quite obvious that that's something that, not that players want to, but it would be something that's easier to game in the beginning of the season if you're concerned about how you perform later in the season. And it's also just super imprecise. Like asking somebody a series of questions, I'm not sure, lets you know how much at risk their brain is of re-injury. So I don't know. I mean, I wish that I had a solution for it. There is no solution for it, but I know that the answer to a man convulsing on the ground is not to put him back in the game. I mean, speaking of Tom Savage play specifically.
You know, right past on the Tom Savage play, I felt like Bill O'Brien got a little bit of a bad rap there, because he can only be like, if somebody says he can play, then he can play. Like, I feel like we have to take it out of the coach's hands completely.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the coaches are biased. So, and that's the whole reason why they take it out of the trainer's hands, because the trainers are paid by the team. They're biased, too. The independent medical or neurological professional is supposed to be the guy that's unbiased to make this decision. But obviously they failed there, and they're not seeing the video or something, because I don't think you need to be a doctor to know that seizures mean that a guy can't go back on the field.
All right, that is Dominique Foxworth. Check him out at theundefeated.com. Also, the Morning Roast coming back around. My man, thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
All guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, just like our next guest. Check him out at the Fantasy Sports Network, AM 640 in Toronto. He joins us every week with his NFL picks. His name is Cam Stewart. Cam, big week last week, 5-1 in the league and 1-0 in college.
Yeah, it was great. Bomani Army came through with the outright win, and that's the NFL, man. You know, some weeks you're on fire, other weeks this league you don't know what to do with it, but let's keep the train rolling. This board this week, so many huge favorites, and that's not really my style, but hopefully I got a few winners for everybody out there.
All right, let's start with your bronze pick on the games. We've got the Bengals at the Vikings. Vikings a whopping 10.5-point favorite at home. Which way you going?
Yeah, Bomani, you've known me for a while. I'm the dog catcher. I'm the pooch patrol, dogs with rabies, and you never see me lay 10.5, but I have to this week with Minnesota. The problem is the Cincinnati Bungles, man. Absolutely brutal. At home, you could at least try to salvage something for the season. They got throttled by Mitch Trubisky and the Bears at home. That was a gutless performance. They laid down, and Chicago just absolutely smoked them. Now Minnesota's, you got to lay 10.5, but they're at home. Now, no Kyle Rudolph. He's been an absolute red zone monster for them, but still many, many weapons on Minnesota. They got to deal with Philadelphia. They got to deal with New Orleans, Carolina. So many good teams in the NFC. They got to keep pace, Bomani. If Cincinnati laid down at home against the Bears, what are they going to do on the road in Minnesota? Give me the Purple Vikings to lay 10.5. I think they probably win this game by 20+, buddy.
Oh, wow. We're talking to Cam Stewart of the Fantasy Sports Network with his NFL picks. All right, your silver pick, Titans and 49ers. The 49ers, a favorite? 1 point, but still a favorite? Which way are you going?
Yeah, I'm actually going to go with San Francisco. This game is pick 'em San Fran -1. I'm going to go with Jimmy Garoppolo in San Fran. He's really lit a fire under that team, Bomani. I love what they're doing. As for Tennessee, I hate to say it, this was a team at the start of the year. I thought they were going to be better. They're a little bit fraudulent. They went into Arizona and got throttled by a beat-up Cardinals team. Now you got to go to San Francisco. I know the Niners haven't been good, but lately they have been. They're getting confidence. Goodwin and Garoppolo, great chemistry there. 20 targets in the last couple games. I see special things happening. I believe in San Francisco. Sometimes bad teams, they want to end the NFL strong, and San Francisco's been doing great things. They're getting it done. Hey, they're not beating heavyweights, but they're still winning games. And Tennessee, I don't trust these guys on the road. I think San Fran can get it done, Bomani. I'm going to do it. Give me the San Francisco 49ers and Jimmy G to keep the train rolling.
Man, look at how things change. Talking to Cam Stewart of the Fantasy Sports Network here on The Right Time. All right, we got your gold pick. This is a good game, too. Chargers and Chiefs. Chiefs get this game at home, and the Chiefs are giving 1 point. Which way are you going?
Yeah, I was actually looking at Chicago, too, but I'm like, I love Kansas City. It's my top game this week. I think the wrong team is favored. I'm getting 1.5 points. I'll take them on the money line. I'll take them in any situation. But, Monty, let's think about San Diego. We'll give them credit. Phillip Rivers rolling. The veteran looks great. Keenan Allen, love this guy. One of my favorite players in the league. But look at the wins. They beat Nate Peterman in Buffalo, his first game where he threw 5 picks. Then Thanksgiving, you beat Dallas. They were in turmoil after Ezekiel Elliott, all that stuff will hit the fan. Cleveland barely beat the Browns, and last week they beat a Washington team that checked out a couple weeks ago. As for Kansas City, they were struggling big time, but hey, they turned it around against the Raiders in a big game. Now I'm getting them at home as a 1.5 point dog. As I said off the top, wrong team favored. Let's do it. Cooking with the chefs. I like them outright. Get it done, baby. Come on, KC.
All right, we're talking to Cam Stewart of the Fantasy Sports Network with his NFL picks. All right, we got a couple more games for you because it is, after all, bowl season. The New Mexico Bowl, Marshall and Colorado State. I worry so much that you have an opinion on this one, but Colorado State's a 5-point favorite. I guess I was going to say home, but it's not home. It's a bowl game. Which way are you going?
Yeah, you got it. It's in Albuquerque, New Mexico, my friend, and I'm going to go with Marshall, the Thundering Herd. Bomani, one thing about Marshall, these guys love bowl games. 5-0 in bowl games since 2009. Colorado State, even though I went to high school, my team was the Rams. These Rams are struggling, losing their last 3 games. Conference USA seems to get it done. They put money in your pocket come bowl season. I'm telling you, Marshall, all they do is cover big numbers. I think they're going to be happier to be there, too, versus Colorado State going, we've been to Albuquerque a few times. It's not that exciting. But Marshall, they're going to be there, be happy to be there. I'm going to take the points. Give me 5 and give me the Thundering Herd outright, but I'll definitely take the 5 points. We are Marshall.
I feel like you got to be about this life for real to have an opinion on Conference USA football, Cam.
Bomani, we got an opinion on everything. If it moves, you can bet on it, friend.
We're talking to Cam Stewart of the Fantasy Sports Network here on The Right Time. We also got the Las Vegas Bowl. Oregon and Boise State. Boise State, 7-point underdog. Which way are you going?
This is where I usually take the pooch, but not this. Quack, 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 quack. We're going with the Oregon Ducks. Let's remember something. Justin Herbert, he's back at quarterback for the Ducks. Before he got hurt, 4-1. He was amazing. And Bomani, listen to this stat. When he was in the lineup, Oregon, 51.2 points. When he wasn't starting, only 15. Huge discrepancy there. And the Ducks went 1-4 without him. This is an interesting spot for them. They want to do good things heading into next year in the Pac-12. Oregon, too. A couple times they played Boise State in the past. heartbreaking losses, lots of emotion. This is the year. Revenge time. Give me the Ducks. I will lay the 7. I think they win by 17. Get it done, Oregon.
Also, don't forget about that time they played and one of their players kind of cold-cocked another one of their players.
That was LeGarrette Blount, my friend.
Yes,
remember that? And hey, he's doing pretty good right now playing for Philadelphia. But yeah, that was a long time ago. But I'm telling you, those Oregon Duck players still remember when Boise beat them. So this is a great revenge spot for the Ducks.
All right, Dr. Cam Stewart of the Fantasy Sports Network getting his NFL picks from him. So, hey, man, I feel like you've done pretty well so far this season, man. Like, we only talk about it when you wind up doing a bunch of losing. But after last week, man, I feel like you're riding okay.
Yeah, we're over 500. That's all that matters, Bomani. A couple rough weeks, but and everything. When push comes to shove, if we're above water, we're above 500. We're going to make some money, Bomani. I hope you have a great year. Congratulations on all the good things that are happening to you, and hopefully the Betters Bowl season will win some money and put a little extra present and good things in the stocking, buddy. Have a great, happy holiday season, and I'll talk to you soon, friend.
There you go, man. You take it easy. That is Cam Stewart. Check him out, AM 640 in Toronto, also on the Fantasy Sports Network.
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I'm so happy, I feel like I can fly.
Disclaimer, you will not be able to fly by switching to Geico. This is against the laws of physics and nature. If you find yourself flying, please seek professional and or medical help immediately. In the unlikely event you find yourself flying, you might be a superhero, or a pigeon, or a superhero named Pidgewoman, who was bitten by a radioactive pigeon. If you are indeed Pidgewoman, Geico retains all licensing publishing rights in the event Pidgewoman the movie becomes a top-grossing Hollywood blockbuster.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
So we had Lakers-Cavs last night. I felt like it probably should be Cavs-Lakers because, you know, the Cavs are actually good, and the Lakers just got some youngsters that we think may turn into being good one day. Anyway, this was less about the game, though I do think it should be noted that the Lakers, I thought, played fairly well in that game. Lonzo Ball also, at the very least, has stopped being abject when he shoots the ball, right? I think that's all you can ask for. Like, all he needs to have, like I was talking to somebody who's close to John Wall. We're talking about what really happened with John Wall's game. And he said, look, man, John got a credible jumper. All the jumper had to be was credible, right? So last night, Lonzo's were 5 of 11 from the floor, 3 for 8 from 3, 11 assists, 8 boards, turned the ball over 6 times. But that's a credible J. You just need to have a credible J, and you will wind up being okay. Brandon Ingram came out there, played well. I had never heard of this Kuzma guy until he wound up playing for the Lakers. But the homie Kuz, you know, he seems to be all right. Like, I am one of those people that think that the Lakers have legitimate cause for optimism as it goes for the future. Of course, then they played against the Cavs, and LeBron had a triple-double. Yeah. That wasn't like to be Kevin Love, right? You go out here and have you a good game, 28 and 11, but LeBron had a triple-double. Like, wasn't like, no, when you play for that team, I don't think I can play ever so well such that the other guy is not the best player in the game on the team, right? That's where they were. That's where they happen to be. Now, LeBron and Lonzo seem to share a moment after the game, and here is LeBron really not telling us anything about it.
The things that you said about Lonzo, is that why it was so important for you to have that post-game chat with him after the game?
Absolutely.
Were you mentoring him or giving him any advice?
None of y'all business.
Thanks, LeBron. Thanks, everybody.
None of y'all business.
Dude, that one thing I will say, that right there is a metaphor for life. You want to end the conversation, you hit 4 words, none of y'all business. At that point, everybody needs to walk away. As when they come to, yo, man, so what's up with you and such and such? What? Conversation over. Stops right there. Lonzo, he didn't want to tell us anything either.
I noticed LeBron grabbed you after the game on the court. What did he say to you?
He didn't tell me anything.
Just a good game and kind of slapped hands, that's it?
Nothing.
Did you make any kind of recruiting pitch to LeBron going to be free agent this year? The game speaks for itself?
I didn't say nothing.
Did that dude really ask him if he made a recruiting pitch? I mean, I guess you have to ask that, kind of. Maybe I would not want to be an athlete, man. Like, I mean, one thing I always say is I like the job that I do, but I would not want to have to deal with me at my job if I were those cats. I ain't even mad at them if they get a little frustrated and tired of dealing with us. But, we got our Zapruder on. You know, we all decided we were going to figure out what it was. Shannon, didn't somebody go in there and get the sound? Did they do that in order to figure it out? And we would run the sound for you, except the quality is such that we can't really play it here. Like, we're not in a position to do that. But I can tell you what LeBron said. LeBron said, and I quote, and well, I mean, I'll quote as much as I can because he cussed. Find your zone and stay effing locked in. The media is going to ask you what I told you right now. Tell them nothing. Just be aggressive every single day. It's white noise to you. That's all it is. All right? Let's go. And LeBron did that, correct me if I'm wrong, Shannon, while he had his old sweaty jersey over his mouth.
That's correct. It was reminiscent of a pitcher and catcher during a baseball game.
I thought it was actually more reminiscent of Buddy and Casino. You know how they be smoking the cigarettes and they put their hands over their mouths and they get to talking? It's like the Street Dreams video. You're hot right now. You're hot as a pistol. You're hot as a pistol. Right? Like LeBron is really out here. And I guess we've seen him do this before. Remember he talked to Wade when the Cleveland-Miami game the first time he comes back? Imagine that being your life, where whenever you feel like talking to somebody, you feel like you got to cover your mouth. I tell you this about Lonzo, though. LeBron told Lonzo not to say a word. Right? Like, he went over there. That was not a conversation. That was one man talking to another man. And he, like, find your zone, stay effing locked in. The media's going to ask you what I told you right now. Tell them nothing. Don't say nothing. That was a clear command. Tell them nothing.
It was a test. It was absolutely a test. He wanted to see if he can trust him with this information. He wants to see whether or not Lonzo was messy.
That's right. And let's get that Lonzo sound again to see if he passed the test. What did Lonzo say?
I noticed LeBron grabbed you after the game on the court. What did he say to you?
He didn't tell me anything.
Just a good game and kind of slapped hands, that's it?
Nothing.
Did you make any kind of recruiting pitch to LeBron? Going to be free if you're the game speaks for yourself?
No, I didn't say nothing.
LeBron, like, I can't be playing on no team with no messy dudes. Right? Like, if I can't trust you to keep it close, ain't no way I'm coming to play for the Lakers. I ain't gonna lie, though. If I was Lonzo, I'd have been making a recruiting pitch to LeBron. Except the problem is they kind of have the same job. What use is Lonzo if LeBron's on the team?
I guess it wouldn't it sell just to be that Lonzo would make LeBron's job easier because he would handle the ball more?
Yeah, except what does LeBron need around him? What do we know? Like, what kind of players does it seem to work best around LeBron? Shooters. What is that one thing that Lonzo is a little bit awful at doing?
That's why with Lonzo, if he was doing a recruiting pitch, you see how good Kuzma's out there? He's looking real good, isn't he? Out there on the wing, hitting those shots. You see that? Young, athletic, all the energy in the world. Yep.
And if I were you, I'd think about keeping that Jordan Clarkson. He seems to have a little something about him right there. Yeah, there we go. By the way, Shannon, did you know Jordan Clarkson is Filipino?
I did not know that.
I learned that on the Googles.
Oh, wow.
He's actually done some playing for the Filipino national team. By the way, is the day that you decide to go play for, like, the other country national team the day that you decide I ain't never going to be no superstar anyway? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like Al Horford should be on an American Olympic team at some point, but he plays with the Dominican squads. Like, you have to make that decision early. Like, am I ever? You can't be like Alex Rodriguez, who was like, I'll try to play for everybody in the World Baseball Classic if I can. You know, it's like it's the Olympics or nothing. 888-729-3776. That is our telephone number. By the way, just reminding you guys to get your stories in here about when you quit playing football, as we are running out of time to do that. I guess I run this by you guys right now for those who don't know. The right time is going to run through the 26th, and after that, still be an ESPN radio property, but I'm going to be moving the show to a podcast rather than doing a 5-day-a-week radio show. Now, the show, The Right Time, will run here again till December 26th. My last day here, though, will be Tuesday because it's the end of the year. You got to use that vacay while that vacay is there to be used. Yes, I know some of you are thinking I have all the vacation time in the world, and the answer is, hey, man, negotiations. Anyway, but through Tuesday, I will be here. I have certainly enjoyed the time. We'll do all the weepy stuff as we actually get to the point where you have to be weepy. But I say all that to say, if you do want to tell your story about why you quit playing football, your time is running out. So go ahead and get that in. I'm also going to say this again because I've been looking around at what the sporting landscape is, and I would really appreciate it if you guys would call in with your funny stories. It would be helpful to me. It would be helpful to the audience. Like, sometimes I'm willing to come before you and acknowledge that in spite of what one might perceive as my brilliance, that brilliance can only go so far. And sometimes we need your brilliance to get us through. Help your boy out. Help your boy out. Although, Shannon, I feel like this is like the virtual equivalent of me working in a store and asking a tall person to read something for me off a high shelf. Like, I can't find a ladder.
That sounds like you've experienced that before, being the big man, huh?
That is correct. Hey, man, you do me a favor, man. Yeah. Look up there and see if there's an extra large. Yeah. No, that stack over there to the right. Okay, cool. Yeah. We go ahead and do that. Chad, how much would you have loved it though if LeBron had come up to Lonzo and been like, Tell your daddy keep my name out his mouth.
And that's my whole thing with all of this. I think if the two would have just spoke after the game, we wouldn't have nearly the speculation that we did afterwards. Granted, we were able to find out what exactly LeBron told Lonzo, but if they would just had a normal conversation, it wouldn't be nearly as much speculation. As a matter of fact, I'm kind of disappointed that we got the actual audio. It would have been better if we would have just speculated on what he actually told him.
Yeah, I hate nothing more than when somebody tells us what the story is. Imagining is often a lot more fun. Like there was a picture that was bouncing around the internet. Did you see that a couple weeks ago? It was this older black man and his wife. And like his wife was gorgeous. They looked to be like supremely in love. But there was one picture where she leaned up on him and that dude was looking at the camera like, "What'd you say?" And I was like, yo, I need to find out what it is that the photographer had to say right now, because that looked like a man that's been ready to fight to prove his love for 50 years. And people are like, his children took the picture. I'm like, damn it, it was better when I thought it was just some fresh-mouthed punk. So I went ahead and just kept on riding it out like it was the lie, because that truth did not do anything to entertain me.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Just hit the phone, so DJ Mike, Hitman Mike, what's going on?
Hey, Bo, what's going on? Hey, Bo, I was listening to you. Did you say you had a girlfriend for 2 weeks and she was dating your friend?
Wait, what?
Did you say something about you had a friend that was dating your ex-girlfriend?
Nah, I don't even remember what I was saying, but I don't think it was that.
Oh, I'm going to say he ain't your friend.
No. He wasn't. Oh, I remember that. He wasn't dating my ex-girlfriend, but he knew her and wound up somewhere, and there was some picture that was taken, and then he got to talk about, you want to see this? I'm like, no, I don't, actually.
Oh, give me his name. I got to talk to him. Bo, Shannon season was over when the Cowboys met her. He knew in the first game it was over. He didn't have to look at no more games. He knew it was over. Hey, Shannon, when I hung up the phone yesterday, I wanted to ask you this.
What's up?
You said Boston ain't going to beat Cleveland. You already owe me a steak. Let's put 2 steaks on there. I got all 32 teeth, and I can eat. Let's go for Boston and Celtics. And I guarantee that Celtics eliminate the old Cleveland. What you got to bet on that? Your basketball team is over. Your football team over. Root for somebody else.
Wow.
Damn.
I like that, though. I like that. I'll take that. I'll take that. So you're saying Boston will make it to the NBA Finals, and I'll say it'll be Cleveland. I like that.
Yeah.
Fine.
I'll
take
say
that.
Boston wins in 6.
All right, cool. So Boston wins in 6. So if Boston gets to the NBA Finals, right, you'll have to treat me to a steak. But if Cleveland gets to NBA Finals, you'll have to treat me to a steak. I like those odds.
That's a good one. I'm going to treat you to a steak and a milk and olive if you win. But if I win, I want the best milk you got in New York. I don't want that 2% stuff. I want the best.
I'll find somebody. We're good.
That's a deal.
Sounds good to me, Mike.
Okay. And one more thing, Shannon. You got the number 1 pick in the draft. Ladies and gentlemen, NFL pick, the New York Giants select Sam. There you go. Have a good one.
All right, Mike. 888-729-3776. Shannon might be picking on you.
No, it's all good. He has all the room to talk smack right now. His Cowboys are still in playoff contention. They're coming off a win over my Giants. The Boston Celtics, best record in the East right now. Give him that. His Alabama Crimson Tide in the Final Four. Mike got it rolling right now. He's all good. I gotta give it to him. I got nothing.
I'm kind of jealous of Mike.
Nothing but respect for him right now.
I'm looking at you. Looking at the tight lips.
I'm good.
Yep.
He's just feeling really good right now, and he's probably back in Chicago singing his favorite song.
I'm gonna let you marinate.
Which is probably Sweet Georgia Brown.
Sweet Georgia Brown. All right, so check this out, guys. Kyrie got new shoes coming out. It's the new version of the Kyrie 4s, all right? Now, these Kyrie Urban shoes they feature an all-seeing eye. That's what they call the icon. It's behind the tongue. It's a picture of an eye, and that eye is meant to, quote, challenge everyone to seek their own answers beyond the ones that are given to us by books, media, internet, etc. Shannon, Kyrie got air wokes.
Oh, if you're very much woke, there is no such thing as distraction.
Okay. So he's taking this Kung Fu Kyrie thing all the way into how he makes his money. So he's trying to have some branded shoes that are all about this new Kung Fu lifestyle that he's on. Didn't he also go vegan, Shannon? Didn't he also do that?
Changed up the whole thing, his lifestyle, eating habits, the whole nine. Changed up everything.
Like, I understand that Kyrie wasn't in college very long, so is he just going back and deciding I want to do freshman year stuff all the way over again? Like, that's what I feel like all of this is, Shannon. It's a half step away from Kyrie starting to walk around campus wearing a kufi.
That's where I was going next. I'm surprised he doesn't have a medallion.
Yeah, you know that dude, right? That dude that gets to college and gets all the way woke. He always hanging out at the shrine of the Black Madonna, except I don't even know if this is like the particular strain of wokeness that Kyrie has. But this is where I'm on Kyrie. I'm like, come on, bro, what are you talking about? He says to challenge everyone to seek their own answers beyond the ones that are given to us by book, media, internet, etc. Kyrie, I got a question for you. Where are we supposed to seek these answers out from, if not from these places? Like, does Kyrie have some, like, the answer store that he goes to? Has he just found some oracle or something else? Like, where does he go to get these answers? Because I feel like what happened was Kobe told him one time, quit reading them books and just listen to me. Like, is that why he doesn't need all this other stuff? He just talked to Kobe?
I figured it out. Kyrie Irving is the new Oswald Bates. That's exactly what it is.
Hey, I actually am a little disappointed that Kyrie doesn't use more big words. Like, I feel like he's all the way into the big word program. I wonder what happened. He got in Bolo's face talking that noise. You remember Bolo? Enter the Dragon. Like, the most fearsome thing I feel like I've ever seen anyone in a movie ever do is when Bolo folded that dude in half and Enter the Dragon. Like, didn't Bolo kill like 3 people in 45 seconds, culminating with folding that dude in half, putting a crease in his back? Imagine that, right? Just imagine that. This big old dude picks you up and you're like, oh, well, what's the worst that could happen? Wait a minute. He's putting a crease in my spine. That's Kyrie. Stay woke, homie. Stay woke. 888-729-3776. Hit the phone. Talk to Simon in Arizona. Simon, thanks for calling the right time.
Hey, what's going on, Bo? Big fan, man. It's my second time calling in. Just, pleasure to listen to you on the radio on the drive home, man. But I just want to talk about my football story. So, I'm graduating 8th grade or promoting 8th grade. And so freshman year, high school, I want to play football, play a lot of Madden at home, play with the friends at the park. So I figured I'd give high school football a try. So I go and have weight training. They're going to try to put me with the linemen. And so I walk in and I see this big guy, 315 on the bench, just making that bar bend. And all of a sudden I'm like, man, who's this guy? Oh, that's just Everson Griffin, who now plays for the Minnesota Vikings. And I'm like, nah, I'm just going to play Madden at home. So just got to call my mom, be like, hey, Mom, can you pick me up? She's like, yep. And that was about it. Next thing I know, one of my friends, who's a freshman on the scout team, got a concussion from trying to tackle Everson, but they put him at running back, too. So I was like, well, avoided that CTE. So, yep, still playing Madden, though.
Yeah, no, you made the right play, Simon. I appreciate it. Yeah, dog, I don't want no parts of that, man. I don't want no parts of that. He's got Everson Griffin. No, bro, I'm good.
A lot of these stories, when it's in the middle of the story, when they mention that, I had to go up against an insert player's name who now currently plays in the NFL.
Yes.
I don't need to hear the rest of it. I already know where you're going with this.
Got it.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
All guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, just like our next guest covers the NFL for us here at ESPN. His name is Damian Woody. Damian, they tell me you got a story when you were in high school, you saw somebody who went ahead and quit playing football.
Man, let me tell you, Bo. So when I was in high school, man, like our high school team was legit, no joke. Our offensive line was bigger than the Redskins' offensive line in high school. That's how big we were, man. So we had a dude from one of our rival high schools, man. He heard all the hype, but he didn't believe it, man. We played in the game, and he came in on a play tiptoeing. Man, we kicked my man out the club so good, man, on one play. Fast forward, probably I think it was my second year in the league. I came home and my man, he saw me. We ran to each other at home. And he was like, man, dude, y'all country boys are so big, man. When I played y'all, man, you hit me so hard, man, that I end up quitting after the game, man, because Moms was like, them country boys too big for you. So he ended up playing basketball and let football go. I said, I don't blame you, pimp, man, because we were out for blood in that game, man. So We had a lot of cats on skates when we were in high school.
You out here retiring people, David.
Man, dog, it wasn't a game, bro. Listen. My mama was like, boy, look, you need to go out here and make things happen on this football field and get the scholarship. So that's all I need to hear. So I'm tossing cats right and left out the club out there, bro.
We're talking to David Woody here on The Right Time. I love you say you were tossing them out the club. I'm imagining you now in that black shirt just tossing dudes out the club.
Oh, man, it wasn't just me. Like, we had, dude, I'm trying to tell you, man, we had it was like 5 or 6 of us up front between our tight ends and everything. Man, we had 5 dudes that played big time Division 1A football, man, and we all country boys, farm fed, and we wasn't playing with any, especially these cats coming from the city. We wasn't playing, man. They come up to the country, man. We was smashing dudes' heads in. So, man, I would imagine we made a bunch of dudes quit, man, that year.
Because if there's anything country boys love to do is to lay it down on them city boys. We are talking to David Woody here on The Right Time. All right, hey, man, we got Steelers and Pats this weekend. First thing, what is your thought on why it seems like the Steelers can never beat them?
Well, what helps is they stop giving Tom Brady the answer to the test on defense. It seems like they play the same type defense every time they play Tom Brady. And it's just like, dude, what are y'all doing? What are you guys doing? I mean, you go out there, you play against Tom Brady, playing against the Steelers. They showing him the answers to the test. It seems like every single play. You do that to Tom Brady, man, he's going to slice you and dice you like a surgeon. So if the Steelers have any chance, particularly on defense, man, number one, you got to get pressure, especially in his face. And number two, man, you got to mix it up, man. You can't keep showing a guy like Tom Brady the same picture every single play. You have no shot if you do.
Now, how much do you think the Patriots' performance against the Dolphins had to do with Gronk not playing?
Listen, I don't like making excuses for the Patriots, but Gronk is a big part of the team. Because the dude is unique, man. How many tight ends out there can do the things that Gronk can do? There's not many tight ends out there that can do that. He's just that big of a matchup. But with that being said, sometimes the Pats will lay out a clunker like that, but you best believe you never see the Pats lose 2 in a row. It's unheard of for them to lose 2 in a row. So they're going to be ready to go to play in Pittsburgh.
All right, we're talking to Damian Woody of ESPN here on The Right Time. Now, we also got the Seahawks and the Rams. How do you see the Rams defense doing against Russell Wilson?
Man, Russell, that's probably going to be the biggest matchup in that game because Russell Wilson's like a magician back there. How many times we talked about the Seahawks offensive line and Russell Wilson is scrambling and look like Fran Tarkenton back there, and then he ends up heaving up some type of ridiculous play that's like, oh my gosh, how did he do that, man? Because dude, honestly, coming down the stretch, he's been in the MVP conversation. That's how well he's been playing. So, Aaron Donald and those boys on that Rams defensive line, they're gonna have to not only rush the quarterback, but they're gonna have to be disciplined because once Russell Wilson breaks out of the pocket, that's when he's at his best.
Now, what do you think about the other side of the ball with the Seahawks defense against their Rams offense?
Man, listen, the 12th man up in Seattle that's going to be a huge difference because if you're the Rams, first of all, you come into the game, you're trying to knock the bully off the block. That's the Seahawks already thinking that you're the little brother in the division. Yeah, you're 9-4. Yeah, that's all cute and everything, but you still got to be able to beat the Seahawks. What they have to do offensively, I'm talking about the Los Angeles Rams, they got to stay ahead of the chains, man. You can't be 3rd and 12, 3rd and 10, because if you're doing that, regardless of the guys that are missing in the Legion of Boom, they still got Michael Bennett and those boys that are able to get after the quarterback. So if they're behind the chains, boy, Jared Goff's going to have a long day back there.
All right, talking to Damian Woody of ESPN here on The Right Time. What do you think about that Chiefs-Chargers matchup?
To me, Bo, that's going to be a money matchup, man, because if you think about it, the Chargers were almost left for dead early in the season. I think they were 0-4 or whatever, and the Chiefs came out the gate. Then it kind of flip-flopped. So now you're talking about, the Chargers who's red hot coming into this game, and the Chiefs look like they found their way a little bit the last game. This one's going to come down to, can the Chiefs block those two defensive ends from the Chargers, I'm talking about Bosa and Ingram, they're the best pair of rushers in the league right now. If they can't block those boys, man, Aaron Rodgers, Alex Smith is going to be running for his life back there.
Now, have you seen anything that's changed with Phillip Rivers? Because his play has picked up as the season has gone on.
Well, like in the past few years, it seems like Phillip Rivers has just been like heaving up interceptions left and right. That's really been the problem with the Los Angeles Chargers. Is Phillip Rivers was turning the ball over at a high rate. Seems like he's calmed that down. And they got some big receivers, Bo. I mean, wide receivers that are like basketball players out there. So Phillip Rivers really trusts his guys, and Ken Wisenhunt, the offensive coordinator, is he's drawing them up out there, and Phillip Rivers is taking advantage of it.
All right, that is Damian Woody. Check him out, covering the NFL for us here at ESPN. Thanks so much, my man. I appreciate it.
Man, no problem, Bo. Holla at you.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
You boys are calling in with you stories about when you decided, I don't want to play football no more. Let's hit the phone and talk to Mike in Ohio. Mike, thanks for calling the Right Time.
Hey, Bomani, thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir.
I grew up playing soccer in high school. Ended up being a place kicker for a couple years, and then thought it would be a good idea for me to walk on to Miami, Ohio. And did a nice job in the fall. Didn't never see the field, but was on the team. So fast forward to spring game next year, I was able to kick for the red and white game. I was starting place kicker for the white team, which is the second team against the red team. I was given number 99, which also happened to be the number for the starting linebacker for the red team. So keep that in the back of your pocket for just a minute. Pre-game, you go out, do a little calisthenics. Kickers go out, make 5-6 field goals. Feeling pretty good about myself. Running off the field, my girlfriend and parents are in the stands, so I'm not exactly watching where I'm running. And all of a sudden, I get run over by a Mack truck. And as I'm laying down on my back, out of the ear hole, as I'm looking up to the sky, I see red number 99 staring over me. And he says, "Nice explicative number, female dog," if you know what I mean, and then runs away. And I searched for my mouthpiece and my ear pad and got up, and some of my other walk-on buddies said, "Oh, don't worry about him. He's kind of a jerk anyway." After the game, next week, practice is over. You turn in all your pads and stuff, and you get a meeting with the coach. Coach says, "Well, Mike, you've done a nice job for us. We'd like you to come back in the fall." I said, "You know what, Coach? I think I'm going to go play flag ball for my fraternity. So thanks very much for the time."
Dang,
and that was
man.
it.
Dang, man. Mike, I appreciate the call. You got run off a place kicking? Like, that's the thing. You're like, I'm the kicker. Ain't nothing going to happen to me. And even then, something happens to you. That's a bully move right there, too, by the way. You're calling them anti-bullying associations.
It wasn't even in a real game. It wasn't even it was spring practice.
It's teammates. Like, I feel like he need to start a GoFundMe after that one. 888-729-3776. Hit the phone to John in Minnesota. John, thanks for calling the Right Time.
Hey, Bo, thanks for having me on, man.
Yes, sir.
This is about my son when he was in fourth grade. So picture him fourth grade. He's on the smaller side, but he's really fast. So the coach says, I'm gonna make him a wing back. So we have they don't have a lot of practices. You know, a week's worth of practice before the first game. I'm an assistant, so I'm helping out. So we get to game one, 5 minutes before the game, literally, and the coach is like, "Alex, you're really fast. I'm going to have you run from the running back position for the first 2 plays of the game." And I'm looking at him, okay, all right. That's what you want to do? It doesn't seem like a great idea since he hasn't practiced any of them. First play, a guy, Amy and Woody size, they put the tape on the helmets of the big guys that can't carry the ball. So that guy busts through the line, hits my son, ball comes out. We get it back. He gets back up, runs the same play again. He picks him up this time, tosses him to the ground. Ball comes out again. I look at my son. He's holding his wrist. I look at his eyes, and I can tell that we're going to be focusing on baseball and basketball from now on because he's done.
Yeah, man. Hey, see, that's what your parents are there for, man. I appreciate the call. That peer pressure, man, because sometimes that peer pressure make you keep on going in spite of the fact that this is bad for your health. Your parents can look at you and be like, "It's okay if you want to quit." "Okay, I do."
That's sufficient daddying right there.
Yes.
That he was able to step in, recognize that his son had enough, and that he personally had enough and stepped in there and called it. I like that.
Yeah, and I'm like, yo, please come tell my friends that this is why I'm quitting so they won't think I'm doing it all on my own. 888-729-3776. Talk to Bo in Texas. Bo, thanks for calling the right time.
Hey, what's going on, Bo, man? Appreciate you taking my call.
No problem. For a second, I thought I was calling myself.
Nah, my real name Broderick, man. Everybody call me Bo.
Indeed.
Check it out, man. 2001, I was playing for Middle Tennessee State. And I was a walk-on freshman. I was a D lineman. I was about 6'4" at the time. I was about 300. So, we go play LSU. And it's their homecoming game, so, they lit. So, it's garbage time. We losing, of course. I get in the game, man. The center, he comes off, and I guess he's doing a combo block because he kind of let me go. So I'm like, cool, I'm going to get in the backfield. I don't know who this dude was, but LSU had this big white boy at fullback, man. This cat came, Bo, and lit me so hard, man. And I was on the ground, and you know how you get the wind knocked out of you? But I felt something else, man. It was something warm on the back of my leg, Bo.
Oh, no.
I was like, hold on, man. This dude made me short in my pants, Bo.
No.
Oh, yeah. So I know it's just the wind was knocked out of me. But I tell the trainer, say, man, I can't feel my leg. I can't move my leg. I made them get the cart, put me on the thing, man, so I didn't have to stand up so nobody saw that I didn't just doo-doo all over the back of my pants, man. So they rolled me into the locker room, Bo, and I'm sitting there thinking, like, okay, how serious am I about football? If this is a college player that just did that to me, man, how am I going to make it to the NFL with these cats? So, Bo, I politely turned my uniform in, halftime, left the coach a note. I didn't even stay to halftime. I left the coach a note. I ain't say nothing else to him. Left him a note, transferred back to Sam Houston in Texas, finished up my school in Texas, didn't play football ever again, man.
Hey, man, I appreciate the call, man. Dang, that sounds unfortunate.
Thanks for listening to the Right Time Podcast. Please come back Monday for more. And don't forget to listen to The Right Time with Bomani Jones from 4 p.m. to 7 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.